We're almost done with the first half of Nod-Krai, and with multiple new artifact sets, plus all the older ones still being relevant, farming can feel like a massive headache, especially if you're a newer player. But the truth is, artifacts are still one of the biggest ways to make your account stronger long-term. So in this video, I'm going to simplify everything. Let's start with the basics. How do you know if an artifact is actually good or bad? There are a lot of ways to judge artifact quality depending on the character, but the most common and beginner-friendly method is SV, which stands for stat value. The simple idea is, you take your crit value and then add the other substats that your character can actually use. Here's a quick example. On screen, you can see a feather with 9.3 crit rate, 5.4 crit damage, 56 elemental mastery, and 10.5% attack. First, we calculate CV, crit value. CV equals crit damage plus crit rate times 2. So in this case, 5.4 crit damage plus 9.3 times 2. 9.3 times 2 is 18.6, and 18.6 plus 5.4 gives us 24 CV. Now we add the usable stats. We have 10.5% attack, and for elemental mastery, a simple rule of thumb is to treat one EM roll as roughly 5 SV. This feather has 56 EM, which is basically around 3 rolls, so 3 rolls times 5 equals 15. That means this piece is 24 CV plus 10.5 attack plus 15 from EM, which totals to about 49 SV. Now let's look at another example. On this feather, the CV is 29.5, but the other two substats are HP percent and energy recharge. For a character like Mavuika, those extra substats might be useless, so the piece is basically just a 29.5 SV feather. But for someone like Kinich, who actually values energy recharge, you can add the energy recharge rolls into the SV calculation. And an important reminder, SV is a simple metric to compare artifact quality. It does not automatically justify a character's full build or their real damage.
Now that you know how to calculate it, the next question is, what's a good target? For a general DPS, try to aim for more than 25 CV and around 35 SV. That's usually about 3 crit rolls on a piece, and that's very achievable over time. But this changes from character to character, and it also depends on your overall build. For example, Natlan DPS units that already get a big crit rate boost from the Obsidian set will value crit rate less than crit damage, and you'll often end up chasing more attack percent and elemental mastery instead. And on the other side, supports like Bennett, Diona, or Sitlali, who don't deal much damage, will usually value energy recharge more than crit stats. So the rule is simple. Understand what your character actually needs and farm accordingly. Before we go further, quick reminder, if you're saving for any upcoming banners, do check out Loot Bar. They're offering some incredible discounts for the current banners. It's safe and trusted by millions of users worldwide. Just use my link below, enter your UID and server, and it should arrive in minutes. Alright, back to the topic. To actually use an artifact, we first need to upgrade it, which costs artifact experience and mora. There are 2 main ways to get that. First, the simple way, farming ley lines and artifact domains. But that costs resin, and we all know resin is limited. The second way is farming routes. Yes, you can farm every day without spending a single resin just by following a quick route as part of your daily routine. I've seen players get up to 100,000 mora and thousands of artifact EXP just by spending an extra 5 minutes in the game. This is especially important if you're already using your resin on character levels, talents, and weapons, because this method lets you save resin instead of wasting it only on artifact fodder. So now that we understand how to identify good artifacts and how to upgrade them efficiently, let's talk about the big question. Which artifact sets are actually worth farming for your account?
Your first goal should always be to get a usable DPS set for your main damage dealer. For example, Knight of the Sky for your Nod-Krai DPS, or Obsidian for Natlan DPS units. Since your main DPS is your biggest damage source, this should be your #1 priority. Try to aim for around 25 to 35 CV per piece to make them properly usable. Ideally, around 60 to 70% of your total artifact resin should go into building your main DPS first. The remaining resin can then go into support sets. For example, Silken Moon for elemental mastery scaling DPS, or Scroll for damage bonus scaling characters. Now let's create a simple roadmap. If you're a newer player and you likely have at least one Nod-Krai DPS, your first domain should actually be the Silken Moon domain. Why? Because it benefits both your main DPS and your supports at the same time. After that, take all your trash artifacts and use the Strongbox crafting table. Convert them into either Noblesse Oblige or Viridescent Venerer pieces. Both of these sets are insanely strong. Since most DPS units scale from attack, Noblesse Oblige is usable in almost every team as a universal buffing set. Try to build at least 2 usable Noblesse sets, one with HP % main stats and one with attack % main stats, depending on what your supports need. Your second priority after that should be Viridescent Venerer. This set is mandatory for almost every account. It provides 40% resistance shred, which is one of the strongest support effects in the game. It works with units like Sucrose, Jean, Shenyun, and basically any Anemo support. And again, I recommend crafting this set using the Strongbox, because the domain itself is inefficient, since the second set in that domain is usually not useful. After that, your next domain priority should be Deepwood Memories. This domain gives you 2 important sets, Deepwood Memories and Gilded Dreams. Deepwood is absolutely mandatory for any Dendro-based team. It is one of the only ways to provide Dendro resistance shred, and since Dendro reactions are still dominating, this set is extremely valuable. Gilded Dreams is also very flexible. It can give up to 150 elemental mastery, such as in Hyperbloom teams, where Inefa or Kuki acts as the solo electro driver. It can also provide extra attack if you're running multiple characters of the same element. That flexibility makes it one of the best general-purpose DPS sets in the game. Now, if you have Farina, your next farming target should be Marechaussee Hunter. This set is almost best in slot for many DPS units that can pair with Farina. And the second set in that domain is also incredibly strong for off-field skill damage dealers, like Escoffier, Farina, Fischl. Again, use all your trash artifacts in the Strongbox. Convert them into either Tenacity of the Millilith for HP scaling supports, like Farina, Columbina, and Kuki, since it provides additional attack buffs to your DPS, and also craft Song of Days Past as a backup option if someone is already holding Noblesse. Try to build at least 1 or 2 usable sets of each of these. They may not look important right now, but they will massively help your account in the long run and keep your builds future-proof. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Till then,